Can you see the screen? It says stop sharing. Online, can you see the screen?
It's the old presentation.
Oh, yes. Okay, let me share it again. Start this one and play here. Okay. You can see the screen and let me see, is test your audio, is it working?
Okay, do you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
it's okay. Click.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning to everybody. I'm going to try to make a brief presentation of what we call data-driven growing. It's a subject that could take a little bit longer than 15 minutes, but it's just some insights so we can open your minds and open a door there of curiosity to explore a little bit more about this. Just as an additional presentation of Hoogendoorn. Hoogendoorn is a Dutch company based near Rotterdam in the Netherlands. It's been in the horticulture business since more than 60 years. And we're completely concentrated and focused on controls, on systems to, some say the brain of the greenhouse or the indoor farm. That's a little bit too much. We think more like the heart of the operation of an indoor farm. And when we call indoor farm, that could be a greenhouse or a vertical farm, any operation that is under controlled environment conditions. I'm responsible for the US. I'm based now in Alexandria, Virginia. We started operations in the US since 2005. We were supporting the US operations from Ontario, from the region of Niagara, the Vineland Research Center. And we've been doing some projects, doing some business, learning from the market, trying to share our knowledge since more than 16 years now. This all starts with something we already know. I think so everybody in this room is aware of this scenario that the population is growing at a speed that our food production is having a little bit of trouble to follow up. We did see this happen in a very, I would say, difficult way in the last year and a half, 2 years because of the pandemic and the general global situation. And this means that we have to develop tools, we have to develop systems, techniques that make us more efficient and as sustainable as we can, and very, 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 let's say, profitable and sustainable and with high levels of yields in the world, because that's something that we need to do. It's not anymore something we should, it's a need now. The world population projected for 2100, it's more than 10 billion people in the world. To feed those people in the different continents, it's going to be a challenge. It is actually a challenge today. The food security of food production is now a government issue, and we see a lot of governments putting attention, putting money, putting resources, investing in this solutions. As a global picture, we see a lot of, let's say, thoughts and problems to solve. Problems are always opportunities, as we see it, as related to resources. And here we have a clear picture of how agriculture productivity is shown worldwide. For sure, we have big challenges in developing countries, in current developing countries. Other countries are a little bit much more efficient. So we have to have a strategy that gives a global perspective to make food production and agriculture as efficient and as possible. Water is also a resource that is becoming more and more, let's say, valuable, and it has always been very valuable, but now we're putting more attention. There's countries that have more, there are other countries that have less, but everybody's working on being much more sustainable, much more efficient, and agriculture is one of the big water consumers in the world, so has to follow that trend. Some general trends in the world that we see as a company, as an organization, as share growing world population, urbanization, that's people are concentrated in big cities, demand for quality production, food production, local production, indoor farmings that we've seen, vertical farms, a speed in the necessities and not necessarily availability of knowledge, in the sense that we see that there's a lot of decisions taken under pressure and not necessarily as per technological side the best decisions. So we need to share knowledge and in a certain way educate our industry to take the best decisions possible. There's more and more investors involved in these processes. That's a change, because that has become a high priority for also the investment industry and global industry. And we think that this has to all match up into solutions that take into account those trends, so we can work all together as partners to find the solutions that could profit of the opportunity. We've been part of a group and that we call the Plant Empowerment Foundation since more than 20 years, and this is basically the base of knowledge that we use, that we have been using and developing and implementing since those 20 years to develop our tools. And the plant empowerment basically is a set of principles that talk about the balance, that refer to the balance, that combine the physics, the laws of physics, and the physiology of the plants to give anybody, not necessarily growers, it's anybody who's interested in how does the plants, how do they work, and how do they operate, gives tools and concepts to understand and to find the best sweet spot or balanced spot for a very efficient plant production. So what happens with this is that we use those principles, we participated in the creation of this book, as it's stated there, and now we're using those with tools and technology to implement commercial projects that can get to certain levels of efficiency, resources, efficiency, and being very, very, very profitable with a change of the mind state of the traditional horticulture and the traditional cultivation techniques and methods. I remember last week there was a workshop about plant empowerment, and one of the growers that has been using these principles in the last 3 years now, an important grower in the region of Leamington in Ontario, a tomato grower, said in the session something very interesting, and he said that when he started to use this, one of his fellow growers told him, if you're going to go into this way and use these tools, you have to start thinking completely different of what you have been doing in the last 30 years. So for him, it was a shock, because he said, I lost my last 30 years of experience and knowledge. That's not true for sure, but he did now validate that it was like that. After 3 years of implementing, he had to think differently. He had to think out of the box. So it's a combination of experience, but we believe that it's more the use of tools based on data that give the ability to the growers to take decisions, informed decisions, and, well, efficient decisions. The plant empowerment talks about the three balances, energy balance, water balance, and Similix balance. It's just a question of seeing what the plant receives and what the plant produces in each one of those topics or themes, and trying to find the ideal balance for specific crop. And this is very important. There's not a magic formula. This is not something that I take the book, I put in the formula, and I'll find the best way for all the crops. Each crop in each location, each operation will have its own balances. So this is a set of principles, a set of tools that will give the ability to the grower to implement specifically for his crop or her crop in that specific location. It's all based, as I said, on the physiology, physics, and taking into account that for us is key, let's say, in the process of studying and understanding the plants, it's the stomata. It's when the stomata is ready to do the most efficient photosynthesis, and what's really the sweet spot, and how can I take advantage of that stomata activity of the plants to use it on my benefit. So then we come, and that's the second step. Once we've understood the plant empowerment principles, then we talk about data-driven growing. So for us, data-driven growing is the following. It's a set of principles, tools, controls, data, and teamwork with the resources, human resources of an operation to implement a full solution based on data. So it starts basically with a crop strategy, historical data, and there's something very interesting is that everybody talks about AI, artificial intelligence. We use artificial intelligence for sure, but we also use something that for us is key, that it's expert intelligence. So it's adding both. The system has to learn from the history, from the databases, from the system itself, but it has to learn also the people, of those experiences, of those mistakes or those known findings that are there available and that make this much more valuable and much more accurate. Because at the end, what we're looking for is that the technology, the tools, give us the ability to trust, to get the hands-on, and then we go to the third step, once we've implemented the data-driven growing, to an autonomous operation, autonomous greenhouse and autonomous indoor farm. Just as a parenthesis, now it's feasible. We've proven it, we've done it. It takes time, takes effort. It's not just only pressing the button automatic pilot. That doesn't work like that. We have to add all those elements into a picture, but it works, and it could give you additional efficiencies of in yield 30–40%, and resources much more than that. So that combination becomes really interesting because you leave the system operate, the decisions are taken in common, who's commanding the plane, the pilot, and the system for sure, but more and more becomes autonomous, and let's say the strategy, and that's where that's key in this, is established by the grower or the person in charge. So the pilot always has to find a route. There's the tools to fly the plane, but there's always has to be a pilot. That's something we need. This is autonomous for us. It's a combination. It's not only completely automatic. It's not that we're going to replace the growers. That's not going to happen, but we're going to give the growers the ability to be more scalable and to have some more time spent in strategic decisions than operational decisions. That's at the end one of the objectives. As we summarize our targets for data-driven growing, it's related now to the resources in the operation, on energy efficiency, as how can we get, let's say, to that energy efficiency. It's basically using prediction models of when and how are we going to consume that energy in the most efficient way. Give you a very easy example for the audience is that we're going to have a a very good week of sunlight, and this is a greenhouse, and we can forecast that radiation of the week, that's a light asset, we can maybe, surely, use much less supplemental light. And if I'm just saving 10, 20, 30% of that energy usage of light, just supplemental light, that's already a benefit, and we start adding into that benefit the cooling, the heating, and any other CO2 that's in the same picture, there will have a very, very interesting results in a very simple way. It's not a complicated concept. It's simple, but it's very interesting. This is basically starts with a set of sensors, traditional sensors for indoor farming, for greenhouses, temperature, humidity, adding PAR sensors, thermal and infrared sensors to have the VPD of the plants, RGB to have a little bit more information about physiology of the plants, understand what's going on with the production, so we can add that into the system. And once we add all this information, we just treat it and control it. We added irrigation sensors. We need to know what's going on with the quality of the water, with the nutrients, with the quantity of water. And these are just to give you an idea that this is not basically that we're going to have to use complex sensors. These are all commercial sensors that are available in the market and that can give you the ability to do implement this data-driven growing. Here's just an example of a software tool that can give you a very interesting information about the what we call the RTR, is the average temperature ratio versus the radiation, to achieve that balance depending on the crop, vegetative, generative. It's just to be in the middle to give you the best food production possible within the conditions, environmental conditions available and possible. Thank you very much. The outcome of this and the summary is that this is possible. This has been done. There's results. It's just opening your minds and taking this as a challenge and think that it's a little bit the present and the future. That's what we believe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.